Hello. Activation season is upon us. That means our stress levels go up as we rush to get teams onto the field. Welcome to Background Checks and Safesport 101. I'm Tim McCoy, the Executive Director and Risk Management Coordinator for PA West Soccer. This is a quick primer about background checks and Safesport to help you understand the process and, more importantly, learn how to alleviate some of the causes of our stress. Here's a hint: our coaches can help us. Let's take a look at the agenda for the next 15 minutes. We'll go through a quick intro to the background checking process, how the risk system works, what clearances are required, the glossary of risk terms, issues that cause delays, a look at Safesport, and a checklist. PA's Child Safety Act requires state-mandated clearances. The Federal Safesport Act requires Safesport certification. PA's Child Safety Act requires anyone working with minor children to have the 3 state-required clearances. This includes referees and coaches who may be under the age of 18. The Safesport Act requires anyone 18 and older to be Safesport certified. This includes players turning 18 if they are playing with those who are 17 and younger. From a clearance standpoint, what is required? Pennsylvania State Police clearance, Pennsylvania Child Abuse clearance, and an FBI clearance. The exception: volunteers who have 10 continuous years of residence in PA and the same individual hasn't committed a disqualifying crime, then they can use a volunteer affidavit instead of the FBI clearance. Clearances are good for 5 years, so once every 5 years, volunteers can get their clearances from the state of Pennsylvania for free. Referees and paid coaches must purchase their clearances. Also note, per state law, only the clearances available from the state of Pennsylvania are acceptable. Coaches can get their clearance via the links found on the risk management page of the PA West Soccer website. It's found in the coaching dropdown. This page offers all the info you need to know about the clearance process. It shows what is needed, links to obtain the clearances, links to our child safety policies, and at the top of the page, you've got links to the upload portal, as well as instructions and tips for uploading clearance documents. Our database blocks coaches who do not have a proper risk status or Safesport certification from being added to a roster. It also allows you to pull the list of coaches as a registrar. You can find out who has clearances and who needs them. We'll go into a bit of detail on that shortly. Let's look at the system overall. Remember, I said your coaches are key to a less stressful activation season. It starts with them procuring their clearances in a timely fashion. Once they've gotten them back, they'll upload them. This is the very important step. They should use the portal on the PA West risk management page. There are other options, but those are often problematic. Step 3, I review the docs and give the coach a risk status. There are 3 statuses that I use primarily, and we'll review those terms shortly. Coaches will also procure their Safesport certification via the link that we've provided to your club president. Lastly, once steps 1 through 5 are properly completed, the coach can be added to the roster. Please note, it can take up to 10 business days for review once a coach has properly entered the queue. That's reviewed, not approved. The sooner they upload their docs, the better it is for all of us to get them through the system in a timely fashion. If you have a coach you desperately need to have reviewed, there is an expedited link on the risk management page of our website. The cost is $30, and the coach gets a speed pass that bumps him to the head of the queue. Expedited clearances are reviewed every 24 hours. Again, it's a check or review, not approval. Approval is always dependent on the coach providing the proper docs. So let's take a look at our database tool. This is a really cool tool that sometimes we underutilize and many of us forget is available to us to help us in our quest to gather information about coaches. So once you've logged in and landed on your dashboard, coaches will be found in the admin lookup. As we land on that page, your club should be showing in select league and select club. In my case, it's background checking and background checking. And then the other drop down that we're worried about in our search data is the risk filter by. And there are a variety of options here. So we've got expired. If you enter expired and you click search, it is going to give you the coaches in your club who are expired. You will know that they have no clearance documents in their record. Therefore, they can upload their clearance documents and get back in the queue to be reviewed. Failed. This will show you everybody in the queue who has failed and they've had a problem with one or more documents. Everybody who fails gets an email from me explaining what the issue is and what they do to fix it. You can follow up with the coaches directly to find out what the time frame is on them getting a fix. Under review, this is going to show you everybody who's in the queue waiting for me to take a look. And last, approved. And when we click approved, it'll give you everybody that's approved. Now, another neat feature is that you can sort here. And if you click on this header, it'll sort the names alphabetically. So we will do that, and it'll show you that it'll take you and go to the end of the alphabet. And so you'll start at the end of the alphabet instead of the beginning of the alphabet. For our case, what we want to do is we want to sort the risk status by date. And it's going to give us 2029 at the top here. So we'll click it again to get 2024 at the top. So now we have everybody near the top of the list who is good through the year 2024. Now for spring, June 30th is the date. In the fall, November 30th is the date. So for spring, we're gonna sweep down here till we find the last June date. And everybody before June 30th, their record expires before the playing session is over. PA West policy prevents us from allowing coaches who are going to expire in the middle of a playing session from being added to the roster. We want them to have a valid clearance that is good for the entire playing session. So in this case, all of these coaches would be emailed and told they're going to be expiring. They need to get their new clearances. At the same time, what I would do is I would pull those names and send that list to me so that I can change their approved status to expired. And this will immediately allow them to upload docs once they get them back instead of having to wait for that to happen. Again, I would do that as one list to me rather than sending me one coach at a time as they indicate they're ready to do that. The last feature in this dropdown that you can use for search is no risk filter. And that means that you're going to search for all the coaches in your club, not just a specific risk status types. So on this list, you'll see that you'll have approved, expired, under review, failed. They will all appear here. So you want to share this list. Well, we've got a tool for that as well. You go up here, you select Team Admin Detail. You click this. It will now create the list outside the database. And then you can go over here and there's a variety of format options. We'll select Excel because I like Excel spreadsheets. I will click Export and I will click Open. And it will create an Excel spreadsheet for me that is entirely searchable and that I can pass on. On that page will be the column that shows the risk status and shows the expiration dates. Cheryl would have provided you with instructions on how to use this feature. And again, it's something that we all forget that we have available to us. And often when I demonstrate it to someone in a conversation, they smack themselves in the head and say they forgot that they could do this, or they didn't know they could do this. So Cheryl has shared these instructions with everybody. And if you reach back out to her, if you're looking for them, she'll certainly be glad to resend them to you. So let's move on. So now we're going to talk about terms. First one that I get a lot of emails about is pending. Pending is nothing more than an application status. When you look at the application tab on an individual, it will show background check, pending. It will always show background check, pending, even after I've reviewed them and given them some sort of risk status. It will always show pending. So this is a term that you really just need to ignore. You can look at their tab to see if they've applied, but beyond that, the terms will be of little help. So let's look at the terms that really mean something. Again, no risk is a lookup term in the dropdown. You will never see this as a risk status for a coach. None means the coach has never applied for a clearance. Under review, they've successfully uploaded documents and they're in the queue waiting for me to take a look. Failed means there was an issue with one or more of their docs. More on this in a bit as we get into some detail of some of the reasons that docs fail. One of our big issues is we've got about a 40% error rate. That means 4 out of every 10 coaches mess it up. And that's a big drag on getting coaches on the roster quickly. Approved. Success. All the docs are good. Expiration will be 5 years from the oldest of the 3 docs. Go ahead and add the coach to the roster. Ineligible. The docs indicate the coach has committed a disqualifying crime, and per state law, they can't work with children. So those are our glossary terms. Now let's take a look at some of the things that go wrong. Coaches often upload images that are blurry or pixelated or too small to read. We've got to remove those and ask them to upload better versions. Coaches often upload the wrong docs or duplicate docs. A couple of common mistakes: uploading a volunteer affidavit that is not notarized. BOS Soccer requires that the document be notarized because we're not present when the document's signed. Teachers often upload their recognize and report abuse certificate instead of their child abuse certificate. Duplicate docs often happen because the system requires all 3 documents be uploaded at the same time, and the coach may only have 2 of them trying to get a jump on the system while waiting for the 3rd document to come in. So what they'll do is they'll repeat one of those 2 documents a second time. This causes a failure because I've got to remove the duplicate document. Another common issue: coaches will upload clearances into the photo slot and the Safesport slot, then upload their photo and their Safesport into a clearance slot. Not all of those slots are interchangeable. The photo slot is specific for photos. The Safesport slot is specific for Safesport image of the certification. 3 clearance spots are interchangeable. So we've got to make sure that we get everything loaded in the right places. This particular issue falls into 2 categories. Coaches are often unaware that their clearances are only good for 5 years. Or they confuse their new docs with their old docs while uploading them, and they just grab the wrong clearances and pull the old ones up instead of the brand new ones. So this is a different category of things that go wrong. Docs were uploaded a while ago and not approved. This occurs because they were uploaded without creating an application in the system. The application is key because it's what flips the risk status to under review. Under review is the status I use to find coaches with new clearances. So if they're still sitting there with a none or a failed, I'm never going to see them to know that they've got new clearances in there. And if they use the wrong portal, or they fail to complete the risk application process through the right portal, they will not transition the risk status to under review. And this often leads to our next issue. When a coach record expires, the system removes the dying doc. When they fail to properly apply for a new status, their record remains in expired status. And then on the day they upload their new documents at midnight, the system sees those new documents as old documents and removes them. And without the application process being completed properly, the cycle of uploading, disappearing, just is a regular thing. So it's important to upload those docs through the right portal. So as you can see, there's a lot for coaches to mess up, and that causes our delays. And of course, delays cause us to worry and fret about getting rosters activated so that the kids can get on the field. So let's move on to another component that coaches need. Safesport. Safesport training is required by federal law. Like Pennsylvania's clearance requirements, Safesport has only 4 documents that work for certification to coach. The core training is the initial training. It takes 90 minutes. And then in subsequent years, there are refreshers 1, 2, and 3. Each of those courses take about 20 minutes to complete. Once you've completed core training or refresher training number 3, you loop back to core training again. Each of those training is good for 1 year and must be renewed annually. The training is free, courtesy of U.S. Soccer. If the coach creates 2 matching accounts, one in Safesport and one in our registration system, it will auto-verify. There will be nothing for the coach to do, but the coach should still download a copy of their current certification, because if they're working with another Olympic sport like wrestling or swimming or gymnastics as a coach or a volunteer, they're going to need Safesport there, and this certification will work for that sport as well. If auto-verification doesn't occur, then the coach will need to upload the certificate just like the clearance docs. How do we determine if auto-verification has happened? Well, there'll be a check in the Safesport slot, and you won't be able to upload anything into that block. Quick note, there are a wide range of other training options on the Safesport site, including parent and age-specific player training. We encourage everyone to take these courses, but they will not substitute for the core training or the refresher when it comes to certification. Finally, there are some helpful navigation instructions for the Safesport system available on our website at the link you see on the screen. As we wind down, here's a quick checklist that can help alleviate some of the issues that we encounter. Coaches should be told not to upload any documents until they have all 3 of their documents. This will prevent a failure that is time-consuming. Best practice is to upload the docs via the risk portal found on the POS Soccer risk management page. The red link is the regular portal. The orange link is the expedited portal. Coaches need to remember to complete the application process. Uploading and then closing the browser will prevent an application from being created. Always click until there is a submit button that results in landing on a confirmation page. Coaches often scan all their documents into a single doc, or will have an FBI clearance with multiple pages. Single pages are always best for the individual clearances, because the system will auto-reduce multiple page documents, and often they will be too small to read. Scans should be no more than 2 or 3 pages. If they have an FBI clearance with findings and it is 6 or 7 pages, they need to only scan the pages with the findings. Those are the infractions and the dispositions. Those 4 things, along with having correct and current documents, will eliminate a lot of failed status findings, hopefully reducing that 40% to 10%. This makes your coaches available to be rostered sooner, which leads to activation sooner, and sooner means less stress. Here's hoping these tips were helpful, and they'll help you help the coaches help you to a less stressful activation season. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. My email is tim@pos-soccer.org. Thank you.